If you're not planning on tipping, I need you to say it with your chest the moment your ass hits the seat. Not after I've given you 27 Diet Cokes as if it's the goddamn elixir of youth, my emotional labor, and the fucking performance of a lifetime.
You are not tipping 18 to 20% in America. Stay home.
They both ordered 2 drinks the entire time, and they tipped me 20% on those 2 drinks. Absolutely not! Jail. That's actually absurd.
You cannot afford to tip, then you cannot afford to eat out.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Cynthia here, and in today's video we're going to be looking at tipping culture from the waiter's point of view. I know there've been a lot of conversations about how tipping culture is getting out of hand and how it's not compulsory to tip, and as regards that, I decided to hear how the waiters feel about this, and trust and believe they're all over TikTok telling you how they feel about it and why if you cannot tip then you shouldn't come out to eat. But yes guys, without wasting too much time, let's get right into these videos.
I asked my table for a tip after they were gonna stiff me, and I don't care how much hate I get for this. Everybody talks about tipping culture this, tipping culture that. No, but let me break it down for you, okay? It's Saturday night. I'm being told I'm gonna get a party of 16, which I said, great, bring it on. Let's go. Easy money. So I thought. Okay? So a party of 16 gets sat in my section. They take up 3 tables in my section. So when you get sat at a party, you usually get skipped in rotation a few times because you're dealing with a big party. I get to the table, I introduce myself, I do my whole spiel. Before I'm finished even speaking, one guy's like, whoa, hey, stop. He said, hold on. He said, you're not going to talk to them, you're going to talk to me. I'm going to order everybody's food and then I'll give you the drinks. I said, okay, perfect. What are we having to drink? He said, no, I'm going to give you the food first, and then I'm going to give you the drinks. I said, okay, perfect. What will you be having? He ordered 6 vegetarian combos, which comes 2 veggie patties, 2 protein pancakes, egg whites, and a side of fruit. He said, but we don't want egg whites. All of the egg whites, change them out for hash browns. On those hash browns, I want you to add jalapenos and onions. Great. Let's do that. Then he proceeds to order 7 omelets. 7 omelets, which come with 3 pancakes each. Okay, perfect. After that, when he gives me the drinks, he orders 15 waters, no ice, 14 hot chocolates with whipped cream, and 1 regular coffee with regular milk. Okay. I said, perfect. I've sent in the order for you. He said, and make it quick because we have somewhere to be. That's where I almost lost my shit. Because how do you come out to a restaurant, order 7 omelets, and tell me to hurry up? I said, you know what, sir? There is other people in this restaurant. It probably won't come out as fast as you'd like it to, but we will definitely try our best. Okay? When I tell you that the kitchen got this food out in like that, the kitchen got this food out quick. I had 2 other servers help me run food. We were all carrying a bunch of hot plates. Took it to the table. They got everything that they needed. Before the food got to their table, they all had already napkins, syrup, hot sauce. They had everything they could have needed to enjoy their meal. So they enjoy their food, whatever. I'm checking on them. They keep saying everything's great. When it came down to give them the check, I gave the check to the guy who was like, oh, I'm going to order everything. I'm going to pay for everything. Okay, great. I gave him the check. The check was $320 with some change. And when it came to pay, he pays me cash. He gives me $321, which means no tip. And I was like, okay. So I went to the table. There's no tip at the table, anything. I said, okay, I'm going to go ask him. So I went up to him. I said, excuse me, sir. You only gave me $321. I just wanted to ensure that this was accurate. You're not going to leave any gratuity. I just wanted to make sure everything came out to your expectations. You enjoyed your food. Everything was to your liking. And, I just want to make sure. He said, well, I didn't know it was mandatory. I said, no, it's not mandatory. I just wanted to ensure that this was accurate, that nobody took the tip off the table or anything like that. This man pulls out a $50 bill, gives it to me, kind of like, here's your tip and shut the fuck up, get out my face type shit, which I don't give a fuck, because how dare you go out to eat in a party of 16 on a tab of $320 and not tip? And I feel like nobody was going to believe me, so I saved the check. I'm going to show y'all. This check is literally half my size. I'm not even playing with you right now. Like, okay, $320, right? Minimum 15% gratuity would have been $48. So he basically just gave me the minimum, which is fine. But if you don't got money to go to tip, on your meal, don't even go out to eat. And I'm not talking like, oh, like if you're by yourself and you get a $15 meal, I'm not saying leave $30 tip. No, like not everybody's set up like that. Not everybody knows the industry. But how dare you go out to eat? 16 people, rack up a tab of $320, be rude to your fucking server, enjoy your service still, and not fucking tip. I don't care. I did what the fuck I did. I don't give a fuck. And my servers, I know y'all felt that shit. Sometimes we just gotta sit here and make sure, because the fuck? I wanted him to admit to me that he wasn't leaving me a tip on a $320 tab. I wanted him to admit to me that he came out to eat with 16 of his friends and family members and decided not to tip. I wanted him to admit it. I would have been fine. Okay, cool. That's the type of person you are. But he gave me my tip. So whatever. But nobody was going to believe me. Look how fucking big this.
What confuses me about this whole thing is the fact that they agree it's not compulsory and they proceed to get offended when they don't tip them. But I mean, it's good we're hearing it from their side. Let's see how frustrating it can really get, right?
A lady came into my restaurant today and asked me if it was okay if she didn't tip. And I said, yeah, that's fine. It's not mandatory. And she said, oh, so you're not one of those servers that's going to give me a big stink about not tipping? And I said, no, ma'am, it's fine. It evens out in the end. And she said, oh, really? And I said, yeah, it's not mandatory. And other people will tip, and some people tip more than others, and it evens out for me. I just would prefer that my tables do tip. And she said, oh, so you prefer. Okay, why is that? And I had to explain this whole thing of how if you don't tip, servers still have to pay money on your bill, and you are actually costing us money. And I feel like no one had actually explained this to her before. And she did end up tipping. She gave me 10%, which I was like, great, because that covers my tip out. But I'm just wondering, like, do people just not know unless they work in the service industry? Do people just not know that if you don't tip, you cost your servers money?
I've actually seen a video where a lady explained this, but at the end of the day, who should be paying for this? Isn't it the employer that's supposed to be paying for this? Like, why should a customer be the one to pay for your loss? The customer just wants to eat.
If you're not going to tip when you go out to a restaurant, stay the fuck home. The excuses of I can't afford it or they should be paying their servers more aren't going to fly here. If you can't afford to tip properly, you do not need to be going out to dinner. And this is coming from someone who at one point could not afford to tip, so I stayed home. When you don't tip, you are literally taking money out of the pockets of those servers. And by going to restaurants that rely on this type of service, you are perpetuating the problem. You can't say you want them to be paid more and then go into a restaurant that people rely on tips for and not tip. You not giving a tip is not going to make the owner pay the servers more. You saying I don't tip because servers should be paid more is just an excuse not to tip. And baby, if you're cheap, just say that. But going to a sit-down restaurant, knowing full well you're not going to tip, you should tell the server right up front. If you can be so bold as to not leave a tip or not leave an appropriate tip, you should be so bold to say it to their face. Tell them, you can serve me food, clean up after me, but I'm not going to tip you because I don't agree. You should get bare bones service for that. Going out to eat is a luxury, not a necessity.
This is so crazy. Now it's not even about tipping. It's now tipping appropriately. So the first one, they were struggling for tipping, and now they're coming to say if you're not tipping appropriately, come on now. These people just want to eat. Now how about this? Just include this whole service charge into the bill so people just know they're paying once, and make it known that it is compulsory, since right now people don't have a choice of whether it's compulsory or not. Just straight up make it known it's compulsory so everybody's going to rest.
Super hard take that's gonna break American internet. Why are people getting shamed for not wanting to tip? Hear me out. The argument from waiters and waitresses, it's very physically and emotionally demanding. Isn't every job? By this logic, I should be tipping everything. When I buy a car, I gotta tip the salesman after spending $22,000 because I pay cash. Oh, buy a new house? Don't forget to tip the realtor. How much was the house? $600,000? Always do 20%. It's emotionally demanding. I was in sales, I would know. And then there's the other end of the spectrum. Well, if you don't tip and stay home. If I stay home, you don't get paid. You don't have a job. Look, if I want to tip, I'll do out of my desire. But no one's going to make me feel bad that somebody with a horrible or average attitude is going to be taking my money for zero reason at all. If I decide to tip, that's a blessing. Be thankful. If you're not thankful, you're someone who doesn't deserve any tips at all. Period. Be thankful people are giving. No. You want to get tipped, make somebody's day, make them feel like they want to. But if they don't, that's okay too. This is someone who used to work in customer service for 2.5 years where we couldn't accept tips. People had to shove tips in my pocket because I was so for the policy. I was like, I'm just doing my job, but I made everybody's day. I didn't expect no money. They shoved it in my pocket because I wouldn't take the tips and I did such good service. So I just don't understand where these privileged ass attitudes come from. Tips are earned. They're earned. And if you get it, appreciate the blessing that someone who did an 8-hour shift came home or went to that restaurant, ate, and gave you part of their hard-earned salary. You do not have rights to that. This is poor people's problem. Poor, if you're making under $450,000 a year, you're poor. How are you not mad at the billionaire owners of the restaurant, but you mad at the struggling average American? Huh?
I mean, guys, he did make a point. If you say people should stay at home if they cannot tip, how would you then get paid?
You cannot afford to tip, then you cannot afford to eat out. I used to be a waitress. I was in the service industry for a couple years in between like my college breaks. And if you can afford to eat out and pay for a $70 meal, but you cannot afford to tip, then you cannot afford to eat out. I think it is so egotistical and quite frankly just rude when you go to a restaurant and the service might not be the best service. The waitress or waiter could be having a bad day, whatever it might be, and not tipping at all because they got your drink order wrong. If that's gonna make you not tip, maybe you should stay home. I even feel this way with like takeout orders. I'm not saying tip 20% when you're just simply going and picking it up, but you can tip $2. It's very easy. I remember I had a friend in college and she said that she was just like the hostess or the person that would like do the to-go orders or whatever, and people used to never tip her. And like, okay, valid. I used to be that way, but like I always tip $1 or $2. Like it's not hard. I think we forget this is people's livelihoods. Like people depend on this money to feed themselves and their family. So, you know, it's just be a decent human being. And like, if you can't afford to tip when you eat out, if you're broke, just say that.
This is daytime shaming people because they don't want to tip because it's not compulsory. I don't even know. I feel like we're just repeating this same thing over and over again, but it's interesting to hear them just rant. It's like, are these people delusional or are they just choosing to leave the it's not compulsory part out of the equation? It doesn't make sense to me. For something that is optional, the way they're getting upset, the way they're getting angry, it's just so crazy.
Tipping culture from a bartender that gets paid $5 an hour. Yeah, you heard that right. $5 an hour. Okay, and before the fucking peanuts in the back decide to join the conversation and say, oh, you chose to have a job that pays you $5 an hour. You chose that. And it's the restaurant's job to pay you a living wage, not our job to pay you a living wage. I'm going to silence you real quick. Because you know what happens when the restaurant decides to pay us a living wage? The cost of your food's going to go up. The cost of your drinks are going to go up. Okay? Because they need to find that money somewhere. They're not just pulling that money to pay us out of their asses. No. They're still getting it from you. It's just coming a different way. All right? Glad that's settled. Second topic of action. Still want to get good service when you come in, right? Try not fucking tipping. Okay? You don't tip, you don't get good service. Period. You take away tipping culture. You think your service is going to be good? Have you guys been to Europe? Because they treat you like garbage. You want to know why they treat you like garbage? Because they can. Because they get paid a living wage. They're not living off of tips. So they're not kissing your ass. If you're being a Karen, they're going to tell you you're being a Karen because they don't give a shit. They've got a paycheck. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Servers and bartenders, we make good money. I wouldn't be in the industry if we didn't make good money. But understand how the industry works before you yap about it because you sound like idiots. Thank you.
I mean, guys, it's the audacity of these people to insult you, make you feel bad, shame you, make you feel like you're the worst person on earth for your own money. Your own money, guys. So she did mention something about Europe. In my honest opinion, I feel like it should be like that. She clearly said if you're a Karen, they're going to say you're a Karen. It's fine by me. It's really fine by me. That would also make people sit up with their behaviors.
If you are not tipping 18 to 20% in America, stay home. One person not tipping is never going to affect someone like me who is a volume bartender who does a tip pool and a tip share. However, I will tell you who it's going to affect. Server who does not share tips who has a 4 to 5 section table. A standard serving section is around 4 to 5 tables, meaning you are responsible for those tables the whole night. You are responsible for flipping them, turning them. The more people you get flipped and turned, the more money you make. Now, let's say somebody comes and sits in your section, them and their whole family. They sit there for an hour and a half ordering food, margaritas, drinks, taking up your time and your space. When the bill comes, they don't tip $1. That server now just lost money and paid for them to dine. Because that server has to do a tip out, meaning they have to pay a bartender a percentage of the alcohol sales sold, they have to pay a food runner a percentage of the food for them to run it to your table, and they have to pay the busser who bussed your table, and sometimes the hostess who sat you. If you are not tipping 18 to 20%, you should not be going out to eat. And if you still decide to, you should tell your server at the beginning of their shift when you first sit down that you are not planning on tipping them, so that they can prioritize which tables they're going to take care of first. Meaning, instead of running for your 37 Diet Cokes and 4 sides of ranch, they can take care of somebody who's actually going to take care of them. Our grocery stores, there are liquor stores, beer distributors. Cook your own food, make your own drinks. Stay home if you're not going to tip.
The more videos of these waiters or waitresses I watch, the more confused I am. Honestly, I feel like taking money from waitresses was a way to make them ginger the customers to tip them. It's just like you're paid on commission. You know how that kind of thing works. Like when you know you're going to be paid on commission, you do everything to make sure you get a lot of customers. I feel like that's exactly what's happening here. It's just that this is not a commission thing or anything. It's like the more tips you get, the more money you get. So they're obviously going to be struggling for tips.
If you're not planning on tipping, I need you to say it with your chest the moment your ass hits the seat. Not after I've given you 27 Diet Cokes as if it's the goddamn elixir of youth, my emotional labor, and the fucking performance of a lifetime. I need you to announce it as if it's a fucking food allergy. Like, hey, I'm allergic to basic human decency, so I won't be tipping today. Great, thank you. I will now proceed with the enthusiasm of a goddamn DMV employee. Like, oh, you want a bowl of lemons? Cool, I want to pay my rent this month, but here we are. And if your idea of generosity is 10% and like a Bible verse or like a Bible pamphlet or those comic Bible book things, just know that Jesus absolutely would have tipped minimum 25%. Minimum, baby. You were the best server we ever had. You were amazing. Is not a tip, okay? I cannot call my landlord up and be like, hey, I got 27. You were fucking awesome this week. So I'm actually ahead on rent. Doesn't work like that. So if you're not tipping, you're not saving money. What you're actually doing is earning bad karma. And we all know karma is a fucking bitch. Just like your mom.
I mean, now they're taking this really out of hand. Now insulting people's mother because they refuse to tip you. Is it that bad? It's the audacity for me. It's the boldness for me to come on here and start insulting people because they refuse to tip you for something that was optional. Just make it known in your restaurant, this is a compulsory tipping restaurant. So that anybody that wants to eat there knows that they are bound to tip you. Not when it's an optional stuff and then you shame people for choosing not to tip you. Now, this is not to say that they don't have people that tip them. There's so many people that tip these people generously. I feel like right now it's even like a form of greed because it's something that's supposed to be optional, right? But they want everybody to do it. They are still getting people that are tipping them good amounts of money, but they want everybody to do it for something that, again, is optional.
Tonight I had a table come in minutes before close, and they tipped me $2 on a $184 check, and they paid in 520s and 186 ones. They sat there on their phones. It was a mom, a dad, and a kid, and they each sat there on a separate phone call having a full conversation with whoever the hell they were talking to. Me and my trainee kept going up to them, right up to the table, saying like, hey guys, you guys ready? All right, you guys. And they are just ignoring us, as if we are not standing in front of them, as if we have not opened our mouths and spoken words to them multiple times. Just blatant disrespect. And then when they finally do decide to order, it takes a solid 10 minutes for them to do so. And only 2 of them ordered. One of them wasn't going to have anything else. 10 minutes. I was standing there like, is this real life? Like, they're like, wait, what's this? What's this? Wait, what's that? What sides y'all got? What's this? Wait, oh, I have this. No, I'm going to have that. No, I'm going to have this. Wait. And then just staring at the menu in silence for like 3 minutes, talking to them. Wait, what you getting? Like, what are you doing? Do you not care? At all? Obviously not. I even let you order shots after last call. The bartender was basically done. And I'm like, hey, can they get 2 more shots? She's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I gave you I gave you bread to go. I gave you drinks to go. You did not get bad service. Because me and my trainee did not let you know that we were annoyed. We had the whole smile on and the this and the that and bubbly and making jokes. And they got great service. They didn't get end of the night shit service because I don't give that. I've been working in restaurants for 20 years, and I understand this shit happens as part of the job. I get it. But it will never not infuriate me when it happens. Reason being is treating your server that way, or anyone else for that matter, is just a blatant disrespect for your fellow human. Like, hey, give me your face, slap. And that might sound corny, but that's literally what it is. Like, as you walked out the restaurant, did it feel good to you? Were you like, yeah, good for you, yeah. Like, did you feel okay doing that? But, you know, people like that don't think about things like that. They just don't. Because they have no conscience. They have no self-awareness. They don't have any kindness in their soul. Like, who raised you? That's what I want to know. Who raised you? God, man. Like, oh, whoever you are, just know that you suck. You absolutely suck. And I hope your kid doesn't grow up to be like you, even though they probably will.
This was indeed a server's rant. She ranted everything out of her chest. But yes, I can understand the frustration is because, just standing there waiting for you guys to order something and you guys are indecisive for a very long time. I would really appreciate it if they said, okay, go when we are ready, we'll call you. Because I do that a lot. Anytime I go to restaurants and I am not sure of what I want to eat, I'll just tell the server or the waitress, when I'm ready, I'll call you. So they don't wait on me for my indecisiveness, right? So I feel like that's what this family should have done. But nonetheless, guys, the way she was talking was quite funny though.
I've been seeing a ton of videos of people giving their opinions about what we should be tipping servers, and I have an opinion. I always have an opinion. And I think that some people might not agree with it, but I'm gonna give it anyway. And I was a waitress, so my opinion has merit. I wasn't very good. If you've never been a server before, it's hard. It's a really hard job. I don't think that you always should be tipping 20%. Sometimes you can get away with tipping less. Sometimes you should be tipping more. I think the biggest factor that contributes to how much you should tip is how long were you there. In most cases, 20% is right, but not always. If you want to hear about the bane of my existence when I was a waitress, it's the fact that we had a really nice patio and people would like to just go get a spot on the patio and order drinks. That's fine. Totally fine. What's not fine is when you're there for hours on end. There was one time that these 2 ladies came in, they sat in my section on the patio for my entire shift. Now, if you know how it works being a server, you have a specific section and those are the only tables that you're going to work that day. So the faster you get people in and out, the more people you see, the more tips you get. So if somebody is taking up one of your tables for the entire day, you can't see anybody else, you can't get any more tips. We didn't have any kind of policy for how long people could stay, so as long as the restaurant was open, they could stay. They both ordered 2 drinks the entire time, and they tipped me 20% on those 2 drinks. Absolutely not! No! No, no, no! Jail. That's actually absurd. Maybe people who have never been servers don't get it, but if you were gonna take up a server's table for their entire shift for hours on end, you need to tip way more than 20%. First of all, don't do that. If you're going to do that, go to a place where you order up at a bar, not where somebody's serving you, because you're actually ruining their workday. But if you do want to do that and you really want to be at this specific restaurant, you need to make up for it. You got to make up for the fact you're taking up that table in your tip. You can't just tip 20%. But on the other hand, I would have businessmen come in for lunch. They would know exactly what they wanted. They would order a expensive steak and they'd be in and out in 30 minutes. I don't expect them to tip me 20% on that steak. Don't get me wrong, it was so appreciated when they did, but I would have to go over to the table 3 or 4 times max, and the amount they would tip me to give 20% was not proportionate to the amount of service that I gave them. In most cases, 20% is fair in what you should be tipping, but you need to think about the context that you're in. You want to go out to eat, factor in your tip, because nothing is more of an ick than a bad tipper. Nothing. A man took me out to dinner once, and he put cash down for the tip, and I saw how much he put down, and I was like, yeah, we're never going on a second date, because it's just inconsiderate. It's tacky. I put down cash. I put down more than he actually put down on the tip. That's how bad his tip was. Think, people. Use your context clues. It's not that hard.
This is loudly shouting entitlement for me. I don't know if we're on the same page, but I cannot believe how entitled these people are. I used to think tipping somebody was like from the heart. Now see how the servers will be so happy, very appreciative for the tip. I almost used to think, oh, they never expected it. But now looking at all these videos, they're expecting you to tip over 20%. Somebody cannot just go and have a very good meal without the fear of the waitresses or waiters looking at you with the eye of, is he going to tip or is she going to tip? Has it really gotten to this point? But yes, guys, I may be wrong. But yes, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. And yes, beautiful people, have come to the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, do not forget to give the video a fat thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.